Bob Talk. My name is Rio Raymond. It gives me great joy every time I speak to someone from, I would say, the old Bangalore days, who's also a Bangalore boy. And this time, in company of me on Bob Talk, is Martin D'Souza. It's been a great journey from the time I've known you to where you are today. Thanks for coming in. It's taken a while, but
Yes.
finally.
Yes, it's taken a while, both the journey and getting here. But thank you so much for having me over, man.
Bro, you're a Bangalore boy, and we're all about Bangalore. So who else than a Bangalorean to be, on Bob Talk? Martin, so was this before we get into the whole nitty-gritties of music and everything? You ever had a corporate career? The reason I'm asking you this is because we come from that time when all this was, at least from the schools that we come from.
Yeah.
This was not something that anyone would think of doing or venture into.
Yeah.
It's purely academics and stuff on those lines. Was it the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. I did advertising actually for the longest time, advertising, digital media. So I worked for 5 years before I quit my job finally and decided to follow my passions. Yeah.
Many passions.
Many passions, yes.
And when I met you the first time was, I knew you were doing karaoke at Love Shack.
Yeah.
Of course, through common friends.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was another commonality between us, was the alma mater.
Yes, Joseph Fights.
Bidet Labo. But before you started at Love Shack, I'm sure you've gone to many of the karaoke scenes in the city.
Yeah.
Opus was the biggest back in the day.
Yeah,
Were
Opus was
you-
the biggest, and I think during that time when Opus was there were a lot of venues that did such great music, right? And I used to be a customer, so
Yeah.
I used to go to Opus not to sing actually because a very close friend of mine, she used to sing,
Mhm.
so we used to actually go just to support her, listen to her sing, and gradually we started singing as well, and yeah, that's how our journey started.
Also, there's one thing from the back, I mean, from back in the day and now, when someone walks into Bangalore, this what do we do? You should go check out karaoke at Opus. This was a thought back in the day.
Yeah.
But now it's like you should go check out Martin karaoke at Happy Brew. Now, forget Happy Brew. Martin's karaoke is happening at Happy Brew. This has been the journey for you all this while.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of this sort of a thing?
I actually didn't, to be very honest. It's not something I ever thought I'd take up as a job. Actually, I love music, but I don't think I could ever figure out how I could make a living out of it. And like you said, from the backgrounds that we came from, this never was seen as a viable career.
Right.
Right? And I got into advertising, and I think I was doing great with that job. So I always thought I would go ahead with that particular path. But weirdly enough, I think realization hit me that it wasn't about money, right? And I decided to take the plunge. Things worked out very differently, but like I said, to be very honest, it was, I never imagined, I would say 15 years ago, 20 years ago actually, and 20 years ago, I never imagined that I would be hosting karaoke or I would be a DJ. Yeah.
Because it was always I wouldn't say we looked down upon people, but also there was this notion, okay, you're doing this thing, maybe you're jobless, maybe you didn't finish off your academics, so these kind of
Yeah.
thoughts would come in.
Yeah.
But for you to venture into this, just dive deep in and focus, the results are showing.
Yeah.
But let's ask you something in terms of karaoke. You went into Opus as a customer, but was Opus the only scene for karaoke back then?
Actually, no. There were a few other venues that used to also host karaoke, but nothing was as prominent as Opus, I would say, because Opus also did a lot of other music related
Right.
events, right? So they had bands come down, and I'm talking about bands that, man, were so amazing, and now these guys are big in the Bollywood scene.
Right.
Right, that's the kind of journey they've taken. Right, they used to be a heavy rock band, and they've taken a completely different journey. So we've seen that kind of variety in music from back in the day.
Right.
But things are different now.
Now we've had a great live scene, not just with Opus, but a lot of other places
Yes,
as well.
yes, because during those days, if you remember, there were so many venues that did live music, and it was so amazing.
Like there were 3-4 around Koromangala. There was Legends of the Rock, Skyra on Domlur,
Yeah, there was Take 5,
Take 5
Yeah,
in
and,
Indranagar,
and on 100 Feet Road, man.
B flat.
B flat, yes,
The-
B flat, Kyra, man, these venues, the kind of bands we got to watch,
Listen to.
perform, yeah.
Glad that some still play.
Yeah.
Not public shows, of course, but Humming Tree was such a bummer. More
Yeah.
than a Humming Tree.
Yeah, for all of us, yeah.
As artists. But let's ask you, what was the reason you said, okay, let's dive into karaoke? Because one, you're doing your steady advertising career,
Yeah.
also you would look at prospects not just 5 years, 10 years down the line. You would look at yourself as in a big position. But then entering into a scenario, maybe you could say, okay, that time a lot of us are getting very adventurous with our careers and saying, okay, we'll try and pursue this, we'll try and do this.
Yeah.
But this karaoke, I don't think anyone looked at it as something lucrative, or maybe someone did look at it as long-term career. Everything has a
Yeah.
shelf life in the media world, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at it, you say, okay, why? But what is your reason?
So to be very honest, like I said,
Was it impress someone or something?
no. You know what? Honestly, like I said, I never used to sing. It's something that I worked on. Right. Actually, I would not say sing. I would say perform. I think that's a better word. So for us, it was all about getting on stage and performing. I never could hit those notes, or I could never sing too well. But it took me a while to get there. Right. It was practice. Honestly, I didn't think of becoming a karaoke jockey and then getting into it. What honestly happened was that I'd taken a break from work. Actually not a break. I'd actually quit my job to pursue certain passions. I met somebody at this after party, and they were like, "Hey, I've seen you sing at karaoke sessions. Do you want to host karaoke?" And I was like, "Hey, why not? It sounds like a great idea." And that kind of led into me becoming a karaoke jockey.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's not something I ever thought of to be as a viable career. And when I used to explain to people what I do as a job, they used to laugh. And I think they still do. A lot of people, when I have to explain to them, "Hey, I'm a karaoke jockey," so like, what do you do? And very simply put, I make people sing, right? I mean, it is that, but it's a lot more to this job. It's not as simple, because if it was as simple, then there would be that many karaoke jockeys and that many more karaoke sessions happening across the country. Actually,
Let's say there are a lot of karaoke events that happen, but you stand out because of what you've done and what you've achieved in such a long. I don't want to say short span, because it's taken years to build up to this
it's
name.
taken a while.
Because Martin Disney is not a name anymore; it's more like a brand when it comes to music and karaoke. Love, I'm saying. There's a love for music in one side, but there's also a thought a lot of people have, like, wait, I'm doing this, but what do I? Because karaoke happens only once or twice a week,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the time you would want to do something. Did you try something? Or
So I also act and a model, and technically that was my first ever job, even before advertising, because I'd done a couple of ads when I was in college, but again, I never was confident enough to pursue these things, because I always assumed these were offbeat careers, right? And I didn't know if I would be able to sustain working these things,
right,
right? And hence advertising actually was something I was always passionate about, but also I got a salary,
right,
and that was the biggest achievement.
like a
back
security
then.
was
It was a security, and it was a big achievement back then. Although advertising paid the least when I started out, I think maybe things are different now, but when I started out, amongst all my friends, this particular industry paid the least amount of money. So I had already taking a risk doing this, but again, at least I knew I'm getting certain amount of money every month. But that wasn't the case with, say, acting career, or anything to do with music, right? Because you don't know when you're going to get your next paycheck from.
So that was that. But did you ever have this thing? What do I do during this meantime? Did you figure something out, or was it like, okay, I'll just let time pass and take it over the flow?
So I mean, I just was at it, right? I see. This is what I looked at. Like, if it's now or never. If I don't do this now, I don't want to regret this later. Saying, hey, you know what? I should have started at a much younger age, or I should have started much earlier. And I emphasize on this because I learned a lot through my corporate jobs, and I worked for 5 years. Right, it really helped. I think it helps mold a person into the way you look at work. Right, that helped. But if I'd started earlier, I would have learned a lot more things. Right, in this particular industry, and I think that's the only disadvantage I would say I had. But whatever corporate knowledge I had, I put into this, and it kind of helped being different.
So, let's say you have karaoke going one side. Now, this is also something where I've noticed, and it happens, of course. It's not just that one night people come and go back. It's a community that builds over time.
Yes.
And I don't know if you still do it now. People used to broadcast messages back in the day. Do you still do that?
No, I don't actually. I feel like it's spamming people, so I don't.
But you used to do it before?
Select people, yes. I remember I used to send out SMSs, and I think a few messages on at WhatsApp was there back then. Yeah,
Yeah.
on WhatsApp as well.
You're not that old.
Yeah, we're not that old. No, but we started off because we come from a generation of BlackBerry Messenger. Man, but yeah, I think WhatsApp really helped, and social media has really changed things for us now
Mhm.
as artists. So whatever communication I need to put out, it's up on Instagram or Facebook, and that's pretty much how I'm reaching out to people.
There is karaoke one side, there's also DJing another side. Which one do you like more?
Both are very different from each other.
Because I know you're going to be very diplomatic in this. The reason I'm asking this is the DJing takes you places, the karaoke keeps you steady in Bangalore.
So, ironically, karaoke took me places, and I actually traveled across cities to host karaoke. I never imagined that would happen, but I think karaoke suddenly boomed, and it had that kind of an impact. And like you said, karaoke is a community, and man, I've seen people. I've seen people make such great friends, great work relationships, great personal relationships. I've seen pretty much everything at karaoke because it becomes a community. And the kind of contacts you
Right.
make through this is amazing because people who really enjoy singing or people who enjoy doing karaoke, even if they're traveling to cities, they reach out to other karaoke jockeys or
Oh,
they
yeah?
reach out to me and they're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to Delhi, I'm going to Bombay. Do you have any suggestions where I can go for karaoke? And it's amazing. And I think luckily enough, a lot of us karaoke jockeys are connected across the country. So we suggest and we ask them, hey, you know what, are you hosting somewhere? Right? I have some friends from Bangalore coming to Bombay. They'd like to attend your karaoke session. And it's great. And the same thing happens here. So a
Yeah.
lot of people who move to Bangalore and they're like, hey, my friend told me that you host karaoke, so I thought I'd come give it a shot. And it's a massive community, man.
I didn't know that there's a ecosystem of karaoke jockeys who are connected from across the country.
Yeah.
And these are jocks of multiple languages or just English alone?
Mostly English, but obviously a lot of them also diversify into other languages. And one of the reasons actually we all connected was because of these karaoke competitions that used to happen.
Right.
And that really connected all of us. So we got onto, I think, Facebook, there was a group, and then on a WhatsApp group, and we all traveled actually because our contestants, people from, for example, people who won in Bangalore, we took them to Bombay for a
Right.
finals. So we also connected to a lot of these guys. And whenever I get to travel, I usually make sure I attend a gig, either a DJ gig or a karaoke gig. So either one. So either way, I get to meet someone who's an artist, right? And social media is so great now that there's so many common connections,
Totally.
right? And even during COVID, man, what was that app that everyone got on? And they used to have these community discussions.
Discord was there, then there was
Some house, something like that.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, and there's also the other game. There's
Yeah,
a game as well.
there's a
Bounce,
game
I'm
as
not
well.
sure.
So all of these things actually connected a lot of us, by the way, including DJs, karaoke jockeys, live singers, bands, and it helped. And we finally ultimately met after COVID. Either when we were traveling for gigs or when they were coming down to Bangalore for gigs, and it was great. And everyone's kept in touch, and it's a big community.
I mean, it's only going to grow, I think, in time
Of
because
course.
there's always a want and desire to go for a gig where there's music and stuff.
Yes.
And in Bangalore, also, over time, we've grown as a population. We've grown as different kinds of people in the city as well.
Yeah.
I'll come to that. But in terms of DJing, did you go to a place to learn, or was it? How was it?
I went to an academy to learn how
Was
to
it the
DJ.
music school as well?
So it was before it became the music school. The same people used to run something called I Love Music Academy,
Right.
ILM, and I learnt there. And now they become the music school. But now there are also a lot of academies across Bangalore and actually the country that teach people how to DJ or to become a visual jockey. So there are multiple. I think connects with this
Centers
entire
to-
scene, yeah, event scene especially.
Because I know when I used to work with ILM, not in terms of music, they used to also have an event wing as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And the number of people I used to hear of going to ILM or gone to ILM, like every Tom, Dick, and Harry, just like people go to SAE for sound engineering.
Yeah,
Bangalore ILM was for the DJing school,
Yeah.
and Sean D'Souza was
yeah,
part of it
yeah,
back
yeah.
in
So
the-
he's technically my mentor. When I learned how to DJ, he used to run the school, and man, it was great because also back then the people I learned from were literally legends for us, right? And like I said,
Throw the names, it's okay. People
Ah.
might grab a few.
yeah, like Vachan Chinnappa, Ivan, these guys all used to come take workshops as well. And it really helped because when you're interacting with people you've grown up to or you've gone attended their gigs, and it just changes your perspective, right? Because back then you were a customer and used to be on the dance floor listening to the music and dancing, and then you realize there are so many more things that there is to this particular profession, right? And it's called a profession for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things.
I like how you said, the perception to perspective that changes is because when you go on to the other side, you get to see the entire clique of whatever happens. Well, when you look at it, it's not easy to start DJing because you're doing karaoke, so because it's not just about plugging in this music and mixing it here,
Yeah,
but it's also understanding sound.
yeah.
Has either of this helped you in any way?
Actually, it's helped a lot.
Helped you like on both sides, like karaoke helping DJing and DJing
Definitely.
karaoke.
So I think hosting karaoke exposed me to a lot more genres of music, and because people and also old Bangalore had a big rock
Right.
influence, right? So during karaoke, a lot more people used to sing a lot more rock, a lot more retro. Of course, things have changed now. It's the balance is not as much now, but I learned music because of this. I learned different. I learned about different artists because of this, and of course technicalities. And I think that's a very very big game changer for me as a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing my technical, just knowing your technicalities really helps you as an artist, because there's a day when I'm at the console and there's no sound engineer or there's no sound technician, and man, I'm running around connecting things, but I can connect it because I know it,
Right.
because of hosting karaoke, right? Just basic things like adjusting the mic volume or adjusting your music volume, just getting the balance. All of that really, really helps. And also, I think you understand the pulse of people better, because because I host karaoke, I know what people respond to, what people sing along to. So when I'm DJing, depending on what kind of genre I'm playing,
Mm-hmm.
I also know what people will react to. It's easier, I feel, for me to kind of judge people on the dance floor.
And also another thing that happens is, of course, in Bangalore, karaoke is known mostly for English music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Over time, there have been places that host karaoke for other languages too, I think specifically Hindi. But have you had moments, hey, bhai, can you play this song over?
Yeah, it happens a lot. Also because Bangalore crowd has changed, right, over the years. So it's a very mixed culture now in Bangalore. So yes, I do get a lot of song requests, but we stick to a particular language because it also helps. It's easier
It avoids
to run-
unnecessary trouble as well.
Yes, it does, because honestly, at the end of the day, there are a lot of issues that break out because of this different
Languages.
different languages, and it happens. Honestly, it's difficult to imagine it, but I've been there when it's happened, so it's just helps maintain a neutral ground.
And also one more thing that changes over time is music, of course, has changed over time. We are stuck with our old retro music as
Yeah.
well, of course, and the 90s, 2000s. Now new songs also come in, but mostly during a set list, is it always the case with retros being demanded more than compared to the latest numbers?
Actually, it's the other way around now.
Yeah?
Yeah, when I play across the country, what I notice is that a lot of people don't have that knowledge of the older music. And when I say older, I'm even talking about 70s, 80s,
Mhm.
right? Apart from 90s and 2000s. Because 90s and early 2000s is a lot of nostalgia. People have grown up to it, so they kind of associate with it or connect with it. But talking about this retro aspect of it, a lot of the new artists are sampling sounds from the older music, right?
Right, like the synth and all that.
Yeah, everything, including lyrics, including the same chords. The choruses are common,
Right.
and you'll see them becoming massive hits nowadays. And a lot of people don't know that this is a song that actually came out 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, maybe
Right.
even 10 years ago. Right? A lot of people are not aware of it. But it is happening. But when I do wedding gigs, and I think I'm blessed enough to get those kind of gigs where people book me for retro music or for rock and roll music, and I love playing music that that kind of evokes nostalgia. So even when I do sets now to a younger generation that is not too aware of retro music, I still throw in a lot of music from back in the day, and thanks to social media again, people are aware of few of these songs because they're somehow making a comeback
Right.
on a reel or on TikTok. Somehow making a comeback.
I don't know who
and people are aware
decides
of
it, but I'm glad
it just happens, man. I'm so happy. I'm just so happy that they know. At least they get to know about the artist. It's great. And movies, of course. Like Queen. I think it made such a big comeback because of this, and people coming and asking for Queen's music. I want to cry. It's amazing. But yeah.
I mean, I kid you not. So even since you mentioned Queen, I remember when the movie released.
Yeah.
We did a lot on the radio as well back then, and I remember Rock in Rio was the festival that is the most known festival for rock music across the world.
Yeah.
And when Queen performed, they did this thing about there's a song which Freddie Mercury sings, right? There's just Brian May standing by the edge of the stage, and he's just playing the guitar. And guess who's the vocals of? Freddie Mercury.
What do you say?
So there's a visual of Freddie Mercury singing from his last concert of singing the song. There must be more to love than this.
Yes.
There must be more to life than this. I forgot the thing, yeah. So that visual was playing and that went viral. And then we get to know that Queen's album posthumously sold a lot more, 10 folds the number of what was sold back in the day. Like online,
insane, right?
online conversions.
Wow.
So I think that's what also happened to Michael Jackson when you bring back things over time.
Yeah. And Elvis.
Yeah.
Same thing with Elvis, right? A lot of people, of course, a lot of his songs are also from back in the day further, but at least people are connecting back to 3 decades ago.
I think that's thanks to the content that's coming out. Like there's Elvis, there's Whitney Houston,
Of course.
there's Mariah Carey. I think when they watch this, it's suddenly like, oh wow,
Yeah,
some fan
yeah.
moment happens and go, okay, let's check the music. Then the entire discography is listened to.
Yeah, and everyone goes back to it, right? Even bands, even rock bands, right? Luckily now, I think a lot more are touring, and a lot more people are traveling as well. And I think that's made such a massive
Totally.
difference because people's exposure to music has completely changed.
Travel, gets you so much of knowledge in terms of music, culture, the kind of lifestyles people live.
Yeah.
And I think now I used to have this habit of drinking and then eating, but now I've changed my habits also because of traveling. Which is something we knew, but I think some
Yeah.
impact happens after you meet some people.
Yeah, of course.
And when you talk about DJing, there are you're in the business, music business. You also meet musicians who compose original music as well.
Yeah.
I've also seen musicians who had like not a very aggressive banter, but a very healthy banter. Oh, what? You're just playing off the decks.
Yes.
We compose music. Has it
Yes.
ever happened?
Yes, the banter happens a lot, and even my closest friends, man, make fun of this, saying, "Hey, how complicated is your job? You just have to mix some 100 songs together, just mix and match and play them off an amp." It doesn't work that way, but we also have a very healthy banter with my friends who are musicians, right? So honestly, I love live music. Given a choice or given an option, I'd love to attend a live session over a DJ playing. Right? I enjoy it. I really enjoy that vibe. But having said that, technically what a DJ does is also live. Right? He's also mixing music on the spot. He's also playing music together. But I've always wanted to make my own music, and even before I got into becoming a DJ, my perspective was always to become a music producer. But this kind of kicked off in such a manner that
There's hardly any time.
there's hardly any time. So it's the momentum was great, but I've consciously made a decision to take June slow, to just focus on this and to kind of get back to that, and maybe spark off something this year, and I come out with my own music because it's something I always wanted to do.
This is a thought every DJ has, but there is
Yeah.
a reason why they're not able to do it. And I also have to tell you that, when you say that you always have this banter with people, also there are very aggressive banters with some people, and some are
Yes.
not banters, but just ridiculing for just being a DJ.
Yeah,
There will be naysayers, there will be people who like what you do,
of course.
but you know the industry better.
Yes.
Turn a deaf ear to them and just keep doing what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you the question about producing. Since you already mentioned that you have plans for it,
Yeah.
is there a sort of a style or genre that you look at pursuing?
So even as a person who listens to music, I don't have a particular style that I listen to only. I try to listen to as many genres of music as possible, and there are songs that I like from different genres across. But I think from an artist perspective and from what I'm more exposed to, uh, something between a house track, like something with a tech house vibe to it, because I like the energy it gives out, and it's easy, it's groovy, or hip hop. I also love writing, so I used to I used to write a lot from back in my advertising days till now. So I have a lot of content that I've just kept aside.
When you say write, like songs?
Yeah, songs, poems, all these things, and it's something I've loved doing even when I was in college, and I used to do a lot of it back in college. But like I said, back then I never really figured how to monetize this or how to make it work.
Right.
Right. I think finally I'm at a place where I think it's all coming together. But now I need to put in that time and effort. But if I have to put in that time and effort, means I have to take out, yeah, that time and effort from something else. But I don't know what to take it out from, right? And it's weird because you as an artist also know that it's the momentum, and it makes a big difference. I can't take a break, and I can't suddenly stop from doing my gigs and just completely focusing on this. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult. I still have to pay bills, and I have to keep investing back into the business. And I say business with a lot of respect to it, because when I'm playing music, I also buy tracks, right? I have subscriptions to multiple websites. I have to buy equipment. And again, any musician who's saying this, hey, you know what? If we don't play your music, a few people are going to know about your music. So that's something that we also do, and it really helps, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say we say that. But I just say we're just another platform.
yeah, of course. And which is what I tell everybody, that see, people like different kinds of music, right? And it's great that there is variety in this industry. Right? You can be a DJ, you can be a live artist, you can just be a percussionist. But I think what matters the most is that you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're kind of spreading your music to people. And I think that's the bigger game.
It's the experience that you give to someone,
Of
whether
course.
it's recorded or whether it's even what you play it live.
Yes.
I think it's the energy that you feed off from both ends.
Of course.
And talking about feeding off both ends, and also since you mentioned of the busy schedule, I hear you're packed through the week, man. Like most of the time. Where are you playing most of the? I mean, like through the week.
So
The regulars, I'm asking.
the regulars, yeah. So Wednesdays I do Watson's in Indranagar now. I host karaoke there. So after Love Shack shut down, during COVID, this is where I started karaoke, and it's great. It's the same madness as what Love Shack used to be. So I'm really grateful. It's been 2 years. We worked really hard because we started this during COVID, and it was really difficult to get people in, to get people to come back, to people to accept karaoke as something that is a midweek activity, and it's amazing now. And I think we've built it. I think we've done a great job now. Touch wood, and it's going great. Thursdays I still do Happy Brew. It's nearing a decade now, so
Wow.
we're gonna do a 10-year anniversary very soon in the next few months. So it's been 10 years there. It's been 2 years at Watson's already. But apart from that, Fridays, Saturdays, I freelance. So I DJ at multiple venues. But also, what takes up most of my time is travel. So I'm playing across the country and outside the country as well. So that really takes up a lot of time, because I'm doing I think 2 to 3 flights a week at times, and it's really hectic. But I've consciously also made a decision to take it a bit slow, to focus a lot more on my health, or at least try to balance it off, right? Or to get like a routine somewhere, wherever I can. So I've reduced my Sundays. So I don't do all 4 Sundays. I do maybe 2 Sundays a month or 1 Sunday a month.
But I think this is the conscious call a lot of artists make over time, because it gets a little overbearing
It does.
Initially, you're like, that inertia is there and you just love the momentum, it's kicked in. Okay, every day you want to do a gig,
Yeah.
but then comes that exhaustion, you're like, I want to take a break.
Of course.
And that's the thing a lot of artists go through. In fact, the ones who don't have, like, I want more, I want more, I want more.
Yeah.
But the ones who have it, I mean, there's always two sides to the story.
Of course.
So I'm only going to wish you that you find the peace to make your music now.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
get us to listen to your originals, because I know you're getting a lot of banter for that.
So yeah. Luckily, I have nicer friends who have been nice enough. But you know what? Like I said, I think that way Bangalore is a great community, with especially with music, right? And I think because we are, I would consider old Bangaloreans who've grown up here, and we've been a part of this music scene from the beginning. So I think one of the most affected people when the live music ban happened was me, because I used to attend these gigs, man. I used to go to watch bands perform, and I really started missing, and I still do. I don't think Bangalore is up to the mark. Nothing, they're not anywhere close to what we were a decade ago, right? And I miss that scene, and I really wish Bangalore gets back that balance where you have enough live music, you have enough DJs playing, you have enough of everything, theatre, stand-up comedy, everything. Because I think the performing arts really needs to start all over again.
I think what's happened over time, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with this, is Bangalore's got massive amount of talent, right?
Yeah.
And every time we mention something to do with entertainment, someone says, okay, let's go to Bombay, let's go to Chennai.
Yes.
And over time, it's kind of changed. Let's say because of social media, the media, the creative field is taking a little bit of a step above.
Yes.
But somewhere there's still a little bit of a lack in terms of the opportunities that people need to get.
Of course.
There have been so many stand-up clubs that have been shut down, like
So many.
B
my
flat,
friends.
Take Five,
exactly.
and Humming Tree was such a
Humming Tree,
bummer.
yeah.
But I'm guessing over time there should be a lot more venues being ready to have live acts.
So I don't know I'll tell you honestly what is happening now is, see, there are two things, right? One is a cost factor as well. And again, I'm in the industry, so I see both perspectives, and I'm a customer, so I see both perspectives. For a venue to hire a DJ, he's looking at one person coming and playing,
Agreed.
right? So minimal investment. But if he's getting a band in,
There's a tech ride.
yeah, there's a bigger tech rider that he needs to adhere to. And unfortunately, people are looking at it at this way. This is one of the issues that I see. Hopefully, people will get over it and realize the value these performances bring out. Right? I mean, man, when I visit Delhi, the couple of these places which have some great live performances, like Sufi performances, for example, it's amazing, right? And it's a culture. It's a community that has built over the last few years, right? And it's amazing. And I think Bangalore can get back to it, except that they need to also figure this out. And I think there were a few, there was some confusion with the definition of a live band. And that's what actually hit Bangalore the most over the last few years. And obviously also the growth that Bangalore had was not controlled. So I think, where venues came up, it obviously disturbed the neighbors. These are some things that I think, I don't know, maybe the venue owners, the residents, the authorities kind of have to work together to bring that balance. Right?
It's a hard pill to swallow. You're the rock capital of the country at one time.
Exactly.
Right now, you're nowhere close to it. Of course, music choices change over time.
Yeah.
And like what you rightly said also was about, how costing plays a huge role.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm right in saying this as well, because I know a lot of artists over time have stopped performing because they're not being paid their right value.
Of course.
Right? Do you think if an artist thinks from a venue's point of view, or all artists think from a venue's point of view, I'm just thinking out loud, there could be more gigs coming in? Because maybe you look at the venue, okay, they don't make the money that they have to. But one other good thing that happens is sometimes, irrespective of the DJ that you have at a venue, there's no crowd.
Yeah. So I think
maybe if you bring in an artist who brings the crowd also, could be a win-win.
So there are multiple factors to this, and I think because I've been in this industry for this long now, and I really think a lot about this, and we all discuss a lot about this. One is that I think too many venues came up in Bangalore. I think people saw this industry as a lucrative industry and kind of jumped into it without doing the math. Right? Like an area like Kormangla, for example, has so many bars and clubs. I mean, how are you going to fill it up? Right? There are so many and the competition is so high, but there are only these many people. Even though Bangalore has a massive crowd that actually goes out in the evenings or in the night, you still can't fill up these places, right? That I think is one of the issues that happen. The other thing is payments. As an artist, I go through this. I still go through this, man. I've been in the industry for so long. Obviously, it's reduced a lot more, but delays in payments,
Yeah.
right? I mean, delays is still something that is great for us because at least it comes at some point of time. But there are
The
places
people
that,
who don't even
yeah,
pay.
there are some places that haven't paid, that haven't cleared payments, and a lot of us go through this, and we go through a lot. I still have venues that owe me money from 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and these are big brands. And these are big national brands that haven't cleared my payments, right? That's one perspective. The other perspective is, like you said, budgets. Some venues I think can afford to pay, and somewhere I think you also need to look at the math, right? If I'm performing at a venue that can only take in 100 people, and it's not their profit margins are slimmer, they're not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
Right. So you take a conscious call that, hey, am I doing this for the passion? Am I looking at building a crowd? Am I looking at building a profile at this particular venue? And then on the other nights, perform at other venues where I can hike up my value. Like it's something that I think every artist needs to think of, because at the end of the day, you need a platform as well to
Like put your music out, and I think live music is one of the best ways to, because whatever is live, it has a bigger impact than what you hear on
course.
phone or in any of the record spaces.
Of course.
But just to add to what you just said, an artist could charge a certain amount here and go
Yeah.
and charge higher to another place. But the point is, the other place also will ask the artist to cut down. And like you said, the venues,
Unfortunately.
the venues have cut down, number of
Yeah.
venues have cut down. So an artist is just, he's just there to do what he can do. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm not getting paid the monies that I want to. I might as well sit at home.
Yeah,
So-
and it's so unfortunate,
Yeah.
Rio, like you rightly said. I know so many talented artists, and I'm saying people from our city itself who have not pursued this and are doing other jobs, right? And unfortunately, they have to take up another job to pay the bills and or to even invest back into music, right? Unfortunately, and that's been happening over the last few years. So you see a lot of great musicians disappear, and maybe they come out once in a while, they do one or two gigs in a month maybe, right? And it pains, it really hurts when I see these musicians, because man, they're so talented, right? But on the flip side, in the last few years, what has happened is that a lot of the wedding market and a lot of the corporate market has grown.
Right.
So a lot of them are inviting artists over to perform, and they're paying, I think, considerably higher amount than a bar would pay. But having said that, the irony of all of this is that they're being called, or they're being valued as per their social media following, right? And we had this very interesting debate, and it's weird. It's really weird, and we all go through this even now, right? That social media has become the bar.
It's becoming a metric for hiring anything from
Exactly.
any field. Like I remember I spoke to someone, they were hiring, I won't mention what brand, what industry, but they were hiring a certain person with a certain job profile.
Yeah.
And they asked him, what's the social media account like? And I'm like, dude, nowadays you're hiring for this. Now that's one side. Then one of the artists that we got in touch with, I think they're from the US.
Yeah.
He had put up a video of him talking to a label, and he asked him, what's your following? He said, we're at about 12,000. We don't look at anyone below 50,000 followers. I was like, whoa, so that means music is not considered today, but your social media following. And I'm just so, I'm in awe of the people like labels and managers back in the day, without any of this having, artists have their reach globally.
Yeah.
So today, why do people call themselves managers and labels if you can't pull something like that out?
Exactly, because that's their job, right? That's it. Because you get the talent and then you push them, and you make their art reach people. But unfortunately, it's not happening like this. And the irony is, even like I said, I also act. That's my other job, and I'm very passionate about acting. It's something I'd have probably done a lot more if I maybe had the guts to do it immediately after college. I didn't. I'm being very honest. I didn't have the guts to.
Let's say not guts because of our schooling, maybe.
Yeah. It's that, right? A lot of things are like society holds you back. Family holds you back. Because they're like, man, but how are you going to make money? And that kind of pressures is unbearable. It was a lot more back in the day for us, right? But even with acting, models, actors, a lot of them are being chosen depending on their social media following. It's so weird because you're on camera, right? Someone's buying, you're acting at the end of the day, or you're modeling for a particular product. But people are also looking into social media following, even in that field, and it's become that deep metric, like you said.
Biggest factor.
Biggest
hire
factor.
anyone.
Of course, it's become a biggest.
Is that the case with you for even venues to be hiring you, or even for weddings? I'm just checking weddings.
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of weddings, I get hired because it's word of mouth, or they've been at a particular wedding and they've seen me perform. Hence, they book me again. But there are a few bookings that have happened for me because of the social media following or content that I've put out. And I'm being very honest about it. It happens. It really happens. It can be a band, it can be a DJ, but that is what is getting people work. And I think a lot of people also like talking about it, saying, hey, you know what? I hired this particular artist, because he's well known, or because she's well known. I've hired this particular artist. It's a matter of pride, and saying, hey, they were at our wedding. And it's a balance. Like I said, a lot of people purely hire you for your skills,
right,
and the kind of music you play. And I think luckily enough for me, that's been a majority of it. And I think I'm blessed that reach has happened.
Right.
Somehow that reach has happened. Good word of mouth, or people being present at events.
And so when you do these, when you get booked for a certain venue, you also have these creatives going out. This is done by you or by the venue.
By the venue.
And sometimes you also end up doing it, like your team of sorts.
So we just give them feedback on the particular creative, but a lot of venues do creatives themselves, because there's certain brands that also sponsor them for that particular night. They also have some guidelines. A few of the venues follow a template, so they obviously would want to kind of adhere to those templates, which is why most of the venues do their own creatives.
Which one do you like playing more, weddings or venues?
To be honest, I think weddings have more money, and some of the weddings I get to play music I love playing. Like I said, retro, rock and roll, old school hip hop. These are genres I love listening to as well, right? So it's sometimes I also get to play music I really want to play at weddings. Venues, a lot of times I try to play what I want to play, but I can't because of the kind of crowd that particular venue gets. So I'm as an artist and as a professional, I tell a lot of people this, that hey, you know what? I'm an artist, but out of 5 gigs that I do, for example, in a week, I probably one or two gigs out of those 5 gigs, I really enjoy it, or it's passion. The others are purely to pay bills.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing something, or I'm playing a certain genre of music to make people on the dance floor happy. It's not making me happy as much as it's making them happy. Right? It's a give and take. But I also have to make people there happy. That's the balance.
What's been like the latest you've played on till, like the longest timeline that you
Oh, I've played for 8 hours.
8 hours?
Yeah, at a
Started
wedding.
at?
I think I started by 9. Yeah, actually 8 p.m. and it went out till morning.
Outside India, in India?
Both.
Both? And
Yes.
I'm sure this is enclosed and not...
Yeah, enclosed, because you have to shut live music outdoors. But yeah, man, I've done marathon weddings. It's crazy, and marathon events. It's crazy.
And what's the usual time that you wind up, like a day or regular gigs?
In Bangalore, when I'm doing gigs, 1 o'clock is the deadline, right? So I shut music by say 12:30, 12:45, because
Takes
they
time for people
insist,
to...
that people leave the venue by 1. The venue has to be empty by 1. By the time I pack up, say bye and leave, it's usually 1:30.
This entertainment industry has a lot of people victim to drinking.
Yes.
Including me, when I started emceeing, spending late hours and all that.
Okay.
You still are a teetotaler.
Yes.
How is it possible?
Oh man, I save a lot of money because of it. But no, I think a lot of my friends drink because they enjoy it, right? I don't enjoy alcohol at all. And a lot of people drink to lower their inhibitions. I feel like I don't need to do that. I think I'm either way happy and excited to perform.
Right.
I'm already like that. I'm a person in general like that. So even if you meet me outside my work space, I'm generally like a very hyper happy person. A lot more actually, because at work I'm a little more controlled because it's my workspace, and
Right.
I make sure I don't misbehave when I'm at my workspace. But when I'm with my friends, it's something else, right? People are shocked when they meet me outside work because they're like, hey, but you're kind of a little more calmer at work. When I say calm, I mean the way I behave or the way I interact with people. But I luckily don't need alcohol
Do that.
to do that. So I think I'm very lucky that way.
But does it also, I mean, does it also mean like people come and harass you, have a drink,
Yes.
drag you?
Oh, it happens a lot.
What's the worst that's happened at the gig?
People have pinned me to the console and shoved a bottle of alcohol into my mouth. And these are friends who constantly try to do this. They don't. For them, they don't let me start without doing this. So half the times now, I am either running around the console, running away from them, avoiding them. It's quite funny when you see this happen. But yes, a lot of people force me to drink, and I think I've been quite successful in saying no.
And going by the looks of you, of course, you're quite the looker. What's the kind of female attention that you get? I'm sure you get quite a lot, man. Like playing karaoke, to get a little bit of favor, people flirting with you.
Yeah, so I have this theory that it comes from I wouldn't say position of power, but it comes from what kind of a job that I do, and I think it's simple. Like you said, for favors, for example, people want a song, they're extremely nice to you, and they're over nice to you, they're extra nice to you. So it happens. It's something that happens, I think, with most artists, all artists. But yeah.
Give us your best example there.
Man, I've been like, people have sent gifts to the console. Someone physically actually, man, it's very weird. They actually grabbed my crotch at a gig. Like a girl actually grabbed my crotch at a gig, and it's the most bizarre thing that has happened to me. I didn't know how to react because it was just weird. And 300 people around me, right? It happened in front of everyone. She just came and grabbed my crotch, and I didn't know how to react, man. It was just really weird. Luckily, my friends were around, and they kind of managed to pull her out, and then I had to get the bouncer to, get her.
It's
to
funny
exit the
how,
space.
as men, when we get pulled up on things like this, we just let it pass off. But not the case.
Unfortunately,
I
yes,
mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good for the women to voice out when it happens, but I don't think it would be the same case if it happened the other way around.
Yeah, and I think, see, a lot of times, right, when these things happen with me at a console, and even if I say this, people just laugh it off. I think because it's a guy to whom this is
So
happening.
he'll
Right?
just let it pass.
Just let it pass. But it's something that actually happens, and it's concerning that it happens, because at the end of the day, it's still my workplace, right? And I, they don't know if I'm committed, not committed, if I'm comfortable, not comfortable, if I have my family around me or they're not. There are multiple factors to it, right? And this is something that I think people really need to be aware of, that before attempting, or ideally they should never attempt this, right? Because you're not asking me, right? There is no asking
There's no consent.
at all, no consent at all. But it happens a lot, by the way. So.
I got kissed by a guy at a New Year's
Oh.
after I so that's worse than this.
Oh my
I just looked and he
God.
came at me, so
Oh my
I'm
God.
not going to say anything.
Yeah. I mean, that also happens a lot, by the way. I think
Drunk guys.
drunk guys, right? They're so affectionate towards you. People have like fallen on me, like trying to hug me, and like you said, trying to kiss you on your cheek. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where this sudden affection comes out from, but it happens.
You
Yeah.
become more vulnerable when you drink, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
yeah.
overflow of
I think
emotions.
it's superpower. Yeah.
Which is your favorite venue in the city to play from? Don't mention the ones that you are regular at, but
Yeah.
otherwise, on a genuine note, if you say this is where I want to go party, where would you suggest?
Where other people should come party when I'm playing?
Both.
Both. Um, I think a few of the venues that I really liked have shut down and they're not relevant anymore, unfortunately. But I think one of the venues I really enjoy at playing of late has been Banjo. It's also because of the kind of music I get to play, and it's something I really enjoy a lot. But I think uh, because of the way I've branded myself over the last few years, I don't get to play that kind of music as much, right? And or people don't know that I can play that kind of music. I get to play that kind of music here. It's a beautiful venue. It's open air, and a massive crowd vibing to the that particular genre of music. So that's really nice. But that's on a Friday night. I think one of the other venues I really enjoy attending or going to is Suzy Q. Again, Josephite. It's another venue because I think I genuinely enjoy the food there, and I also enjoy playing there. But yes, I think those are a few of the venues, and a few of the social venues. I think somehow they've created a culture. Unfortunately, after COVID, a lot of things happened, so it changed the dynamics of the crowd. But they're back at it again, and I'm back there playing as well, and I really enjoy playing there.
Now, you, I think, were part of a lucky, let's say, generation because you were just 3 or 4 years ahead of me. You got some of the best pubs that the city
Yeah.
has seen.
Yeah.
Could you name a few that you miss?
Ah, man. So there's, weirdly enough, they're still running. Like Picos, for example. I think we've spent our childhood there. Weirdly enough, we all used to go there. And back then, Bangalore was a lot more relaxed with, age restrictions. We didn't even know of it back in the day. But anyway, I never had alcohol. But I used to go there for the food. I think Picos is something that I really miss. It's still running, but none of us go there anymore because I don't know if it's still the same.
I think too many places have come up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
spoil for choice. But what I meant was like your clubs, like to party.
At a club Spin, hands
Spin.
down.
And where was
Spin.
this?
Spin used to be just off Residency Road, near the WeWork Galaxy.
Right.
It's somewhere that side. I think we've had our like some amazing nights back then because that was also a time where we were in college and we were of legal age to be enter this place. But one of the other places I really miss, and unfortunately I didn't get to catch it at the peak, but somewhere towards the end was the club, which used to be on
Mysore
Mysore
Road.
Road, right? It used to be it used to be one of those places that really started this culture in Bangalore. And I miss that, but back in the day I was very, very young. But Spin was when legally I could enter and party and have a great time. The other place used to be this venue called Club X that used to be on Wind Tunnel Road. That used to run till 6 a.m. Bangalore had a nightlife that used to run till 6 a.m. It was
I remember
amazing.
people driving to Bangalore from Chennai to party.
Exactly. People used to come down to Bangalore to party. Man, I used to go to college directly after finishing a night of partying, which ultimately became morning. We used to quickly grab breakfast and directly go to college. It was amazing. Man, I think we really had the best of Bangalore.
And also one club, I just want to ask your thoughts on this. Everyone mentions the club, everyone mentions Spin. A lot of them also mention Club X.
Yeah.
Sparks, does it
Oh
spark a
yeah!
memory?
Oh my God! You know what? I'll tell you why it holds a special place in all our hearts. It is because back then I never used to get permission to go out late in the night, right? But Sparks used to have afternoon parties. They used to have these noon parties, which was just amazing because you finish college, you go directly to Sparks, have a blast, and then get back home on time, right? So my parents didn't know that I was at a club. And it was amazing, man. Sparks. Oh yes, Sparks, and I think Edge.
Edge.
That was the other place.
There's
Yeah.
also DTP used to have this
Yes.
afternoon thing.
Yes. they
How
started
I
with after
know,
parties.
I mean, of course, I just finished 10th standard and I was supposed to throw a treat for me being selected to play, to represent India at Bobby Charlton,
Yeah.
UK. And my friend's been going to these parties, he's just cleared 18 and all that. So I go to Sparks, I've gone inside, and they asked us to leave. Why? Because it was underage. And that's the memory I have. And then it's okay, I'm going to wait for 2 years to become 18
Oh,
and
man.
head into this place. By the time it was shut.
It was shut by then. Yeah. It shut, unfortunately. But I had a great time in Sparks as well. That's something that actually slipped my mind because I think it was that time when you were a rebel, but this gave a home to these rebels without getting yelled at home, right? Because you still got back home on time.
And that I think Sparks and DDP back then, DDP, a lot of them know, DDP and Bunkers is one of those places.
Bunkers, yes.
So that actually propelled a little bit of the hip hop movement during that
Of
time.
course, it did. And because the kind of music that Bangalore also used to listen to back then, obviously rock was more prevalent at pubs, but to dance, these clubs used to play a lot more hip hop, and it was amazing, amazing. I miss that generation.
And also, I remember the music that was played. I remember one of my friends gave me this whole case of CDs from the dance music of the 90s. Not music you've heard of, but the music that's like a time machine today. I don't have it because I lost it in a car that met in an accident.
Yeah.
But when I heard that, I'm like, dude, I missed this kind of music in dancing in clubs back then.
Yeah.
I think I missed quite a lot.
Yeah. I miss it, and luckily enough, now when I do a few weddings, and depending on what age category the bride and groom fall into, and they give me a brief, and I get to play this kind of music that I used to party to, right? And it's amazing because it's this 90s and early 2000s hip hop, R&B. It's amazing, and a lot more. I also get to play it for a lot more mixed cultural weddings, right? So a lot of foreigners who like people from the US or from Europe or Australia, New Zealand, who come to Bangalore and are getting married here. So I get to play to that kind of crowd as well, and they are also very well exposed to this kind of music.
Right.
Right. So I get to play this kind of music, and it's amazing because it's so much nostalgia for me, and this is where I enjoy the most because this is
The music that we
I
grew up
partied to, and now I'm getting to play this music.
Now coming to let's say everyone thinks like DJing is like a shelf life.
Yeah.
Do you also believe so?
Honestly, I don't, and I think a lot of my closest friends actually asked me this when I became one, when I became a karaoke jockey, and then later on a DJ. Hey, how long do you think you can do this? And it's been 10 years since, and I'm still doing it, and I think I'm still enjoying doing it. I'll continue doing it as long as I can, and as long as I enjoy doing it. And of course, physically, because it's physically it really strains your body. Standing for 4-5 hours,
Yeah.
is a lot of strain, and of course your ears. That's something that actually I think we missed out on discussing earlier on, is the strain that it has on your ears when you're listening to so much music, when you're exposed to so much music.
And it's not like you're listening to what do you say, a certain beat of the music as well,
Yeah.
because you're continuously mixing.
Exactly.
And I don't know if a lot of people know, but when you have earphones or especially headphones, you have wax gathered as well most times.
Yeah.
And at the same time, with that music, it tends to sometimes people get migraines, and
Yeah.
the issues are quite a bit. Do you face anything like that?
Yeah, I do. There's certain gigs when I step out of because of bad speakers or a bad monitor, like a bad booth monitor. My ears are ringing at the end of it, and it's unfortunate. I shouldn't be doing that to myself, nor should anybody be going through that. But it's really unfortunate that you can only have this much, or you can only get this much through your tech ride.
Right.
There are times when the monitor that comes across is in that state. So what do you do as an artist, right? You have to still do
You
the show.
still compromise and then move on.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, I know I'm going to be holding you back from your show now. I don't want to hold you on for too long.
I'm good.
Just one
Yeah.
question. If you were given a chance to take back your career now and play in one of the old school clubs, since you heard so many of them,
Yeah.
where would you go and play?
Spin.
Spin.
Yeah.
And the reason being?
I think I miss that crowd from back in the day that used to visit Spin. And weirdly enough, I still meet them. We're still friends, and whoever is still left in Bangalore. And I think it was a sense of community where everybody knew everyone. Maybe I didn't know a person's name, but we would still say hi to each other and acknowledge each other's presence. Bangalore was a city like that, and for me, because that was when I was in college, and I think I was just about to pass out of college. It kind of brought about this Bangalore community feeling,
Right.
right? And I'd love to relive that community feeling of Bangalore.
something that we'll always keep yearning for, like the old Bangalore. I mean,
miss
not
it.
just the weather, but a lot of the things that have gone past in time. Last two questions. One, of course, is when you talk about caging, your best crowd across the country, and for DJing, your best crowd across the country.
I think Bangalore for.
Is it because you're from here? Because some people say, hey, because you're from here. It's
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, but I think a lot of artists would agree with me that Bangalore has, I think, the most diverse crowd. So you have a crowd for every genre of music, including karaoke. And I think, like I said, I mean, man, to get 300 people at a karaoke session, singing together, singing all night, listening to other people singing and dancing to it and singing along is something that doesn't happen too often, right? But somehow I've been blessed with it. I've seen this happen at Love Shack, for 9 years. Saw this happen at Happy Brew for close to a decade, and now at Watson's. It's been 2 years already, right? And this doesn't happen too much across the country. It's very rare where you get a crowd that comes, sings along, has a blast, dances, and it's basically how a DJ would play music and people are dancing. Here I'm hosting karaoke and getting the same reaction from people. It's amazing. So hands down Bangalore with karaoke. I think with DJing there are a couple of cities that also have a great vibe now. Again, I think Bangalore is still one of my favorite cities in the world to play at. Having said that, the other few cities would be Goa, Chennai back in the day, but I think Chennai dynamics has also changed a lot, and Bombay. So yeah.
There's also a lot of similarity between Bangalore and Goa, the kind of culture and the way we have our lifestyles going about. So I think that's where a lot of us Bangaloreans find a lot of comfort in Goa too.
Of course.
And one last question that I had to ask you was, if you had to give up DJing and pursue something else, what would have been? Acting. Well, let's put on all the other things that you do. If you had to leave all this and say, what would Martin be doing?
If not this, maybe your job.
My job, huh?
Yes.
You're anyway good at it at this point.
So maybe that. I think I would enjoy doing that. I think I enjoy talking to people and maybe.
Hey, you're most welcome to start something after this.
Let's do this. Come on.
All right, Martin. Thank you so much for coming, man. Like, I don't want to hold you on for too long. I know a lot of people out there waiting for their feet to start twinkling around at Happy Brew. But it's been a pleasure. It's been worth the wait, I must say.
Yeah, it really has. And thank you so much for having me over. And more importantly, before you end this, that I wanted to say this, that I think you're one of those Bangaloreans who's stuck on and doing a great job. So, man, I really wish you all the best. And
Thanks,
I know it's only going to get better. So, fingers crossed for all us artists. and I hope Bangalore really gets back to those glory days.
One last question. I've not been saying last, but this is it. Bangalore or Bengaluru?
Oh, man, Bangalore.
I know why you say that as well, so I hold that too. But thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. And I wish you all the best for not just playing, but I'm really... Okay, let me just add this pressure onto you and say I'm looking forward to you coming out with your own music. So we can play it on the radio as well.
No,
That's
it means a lot. I think I need it. I think I need that push and I need all the support possible. And I mean, see, at the end of the day, it's something I have to do. So I hope I get to it and I hope it happens very soon.
And we're looking forward to it. Let me just put it out like that.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks, man. Cheers,
Thank you so much. Cheers, man.